Hello friends, we are back today with another bird lesson, and we're going to be talking today about a part of the bird that you've probably never thought much about. We're not going to look at its beak today, not at its wings or its feathers. Today we're going to be talking about bird feet. So what I want you to do is get out a piece of paper and I want you to actually draw a bird. And as you're drawing your bird, I want you to pay some special attention to the feet and think to yourself, think like a scientist, think, what do I know about this bird already? Does it climb trees? Does it swoop down and catch prey with talons? What does my bird do? And use those clues, that science thinking, to add some details to your drawing. Now, what we're going to do in our lesson today is I'm going to draw you a few different kinds of feet that birds have. And maybe one of these is the kind that your drawing had already. But we're going to see what the different feet are shaped like. Because just like birds have different shaped beaks to eat different food, they have different shaped feet to do different things. So as I begin to draw, I have one very important question for you. You might have had the same question when you started drawing your bird foot. How many toes does a bird have? So on your foot, how many toes do you have on your foot? You have 5 toes. Birds only have 4. So when you're drawing your bird foot, you're going to want 4 toes. So here's a couple of common kinds. This is one of my favorites here. You've got 4 toes. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. But look at this special thing that happens on this foot. Does that make it look a little bit different and good for something very particular? You might have had that in your drawing, I'm not sure. Now here's another bird foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. But this kind of foot has really strong toes, almost like thick, strong toes, and at the tip of each toe is a talon. A talon is the fancy word for, it's like a claw, but it's a talon on birds. All right, here's another kind of bird foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 in front, 2 in back. Very unusual, but very important for doing something particular. Now our last 2 are very similar. See if you can see as I draw what the difference is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you look really closely, hopefully you can see the difference between these 2 feet. So now what we're going to do is I have a bunch of cool bird things for you to look at, and we're going to find these feet and see what they are good for. Now, this one. Think in your mind, what is this foot good for? It's got something, 3 toes out in front, but something's covering up those 3 toes. It looks to me like a paddle. This is a webbed foot. Birds that live in the water have this for paddling. That's really good for paddling. And humans, think about it for a minute, when you swim, everybody take your hands. If you tried to just put your hands out like this and swim, would you go anywhere? No. When we swim, we have to put our hands together to make a paddle. Well, guess what? Ducks already have that, so it's perfect. And actually, no, it's pretty cool. Humans thought that was such a good idea. Does this look similar to you? This is a flipper that you might wear on your feet when you're swimming. And this is basically like giving yourself a webbed foot, because ducks had such an awesome idea, humans copied it. So this is a really good foot, where'd my pen go, for swimming. So we're going to say swim. All right, Now, looking along here, this foot, do you see those toes, really strong toes? What kind of bird would need really strong toes? Who would need to catch something and hold on to it? And maybe even carry something heavy while they're flying? Can you think of a bird that catches its prey, catches some food, and then needs to fly? So yes, this is for a hunter bird. So we're gonna add that up there. This is, predators have this kind of foot. Birds of prey. So, oops, sorry. So this is good for hunting and catching prey. So I actually happen to have some. Can you believe this? This is the foot of an owl. I'm gonna see if I can give you a good close-up look. So these feet have their 4 talons. Talons is a fancy word for claws. When you're talking about birds, they have talons. So, do you think that these could catch a mouse or catch a fish? Yes. So bald eagles might use these to catch a fish. Owls use this to catch a mouse. And let me tell you, they are sharp. So those are our talons. Okay, so we have 3 mystery bird feet left. And I want to talk about this one. This got 2 toes in front, 2 toes in back. And I'm actually going to show you how to make one of these. So if you grab 2 pipe cleaners, you might not have pipe cleaners at home, and that's fine, you can watch this. But if you do, you take 2 pipe cleaners, same color, put them together, and then bend them in half so they're the same length. And then I just twist the top part so that they stay together. So this part on top is going to be the bird's leg, and then these down lower are going to be its toes. 1, 2 in front, like our picture. 1, 2 behind. So see how that matches up with the picture? So now the thinking part comes in. What kind of bird would need these toes? Why would a bird want 2 toes in front and 2 toes in back? And I'm going to show you a bird who has this. A woodpecker. So check out these toes. 2 in the top, 2 in the bottom. So look super up close at those feet. And you can see there are 2 toes at the top, up here, and 2 down at the bottom. And the reason they have that is because think about if a woodpecker is climbing up a tree, you don't want to put all 4 of your toes up top, or you might fall over backwards. So they put 2 up top and 2 down below. So this is a good kind of foot design for birds who like to walk up and down tree trunks a lot, like woodpeckers. Now our last 2 feet, if you look really closely with your scientist eyes, you can see this has a long back toe and this one has a short back toe. And because I love my pipe cleaner feet so much, I made some. So here's one with a long back toe. And here's one with a short back toe. So long back toe, short back toe. And one of these is good for perching on tree branches. Perch means when you grab onto a tree branch. When the bird grabs onto a tree branch and just sits there with its little feet grabbed on, that's perching. So one of these feet is good for perching, and one of these feet is not that good for perching, but it's good for walking around and kind of like scratching up food on the ground. So scratch, scratch, and then they can peck and get their food with their beak. Scratch, scratch, peck, peck. So take a vote in your mind, or you can vote out loud. Which of these, long back toe or short back toe, which one do you think is going to be best for perching, for landing on a tree branch and grabbing on with its feet? We're going to test it out. All right, so if you want to make your own pipe cleaner feet, go for it. But if not, check out this test. I'll be a tree branch, and here comes the short back toe bird flying in, grabs on with the front toes, and then falls off. We better try that again. Okay. Try number 2. Comes in for a landing, tries to grab onto the tree branch with those front toes, and falls off again. So it looks like this foot is not that great. Short back toe here, not that great for landing on a tree branch. So, do you think long back toe is going to be any better? Let's check it out. Long back toe comes in for a landing, grabs on in front, grabs on in back. Aha! A very successful perch. Let's try that again, just so we know it wasn't just good luck. Okay. Long back toe comes in for a landing again, grabs around the tree branch, front toes, back toes. Oh yes, a very good perch. So, what we learn is that these feet with this long back toe is super good for perching because all the toes can curl around the branch. Meanwhile, this foot doesn't have a long toe, so it can't grab around the branch, but it's good for just walking and scratching on the ground. Scratch, 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 so that it can peck its food up. So we learned this foot. Remember this one, the woodpecker foot? Was really good for climbing up trees. This one was good for perching. And this one was good for scratching or just walking around. So now you've had a good look at a few different kinds of feet. And I want you to look at your drawing that you made. What kind of feet does your bird have that you drew? Did it have any of these, or did it have a different kind of foot? And I want you to think, with the kind of foot you gave it, what does it mean that your bird is really good at doing? Is your bird good at climbing up tree trunks? Is your bird good at hunting and catching prey? I want you to think about what your bird is good at doing with the feet you gave it. And now, here's the challenge. We're going to figure out what kind of beak does your bird need to match with those feet. Because it'd be kind of silly if we had a hunter bird that had those sharp talons like this, and it caught its prey, and then for a beak we gave it like a little hummingbird, gentle hummingbird beak. That would be ridiculous. So any bird that has this kind of talons, these kind of feet to catch prey is gonna need, do you remember from the last lesson? A hunter foot would need a sharp hooked beak in order to tear apart its prey. And how about this paddle foot here? This paddle foot, good for swimming. If you drew a bird like that, it must live in the water. And if it lives in the water, it could have, maybe it spears fish, or maybe it's like a duck that gets a big mouthful of water and lets all the extra water drain out, but the yummy pond plants stay on the inside. Do you remember that was this kind of beak? The strainer beak, where it got a big mouthful of pond plants and all the water drained out the side. Or maybe if you have climber feet for climbing up a tree, like this guy, what kind of beak is that bird gonna need? Once it's climbed up the tree trunk, it's gonna need a chisel beak, a nice sharp chisel beak to peck, 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 and get the bugs out of the wood. And how about one of these birds that perches onto a branch? Maybe they would like to fly off that branch and catch a bug with a little tweezer beak. Little tweezer beak. And how about birds who are just walking and scratching around on the ground? They might find some seeds on the ground. And do you remember what kind of beak was good for biting down and crunching those seeds, those strong seeds? Those big triangle seed cracker beaks would be good for crushing the seeds. So make sure on your bird picture right now, look at your drawing, and make sure that your kind of foot and your kind of beak that you gave it kind of are a match. So if it's going to help it catch prey with its talons, make sure it has a good hooked beak to tear apart the prey. And if it's going to climb up trees, make sure it has a good woodpecker beak to peck in there. So take a look at your drawing, and I want to see 3 things in your drawing. Ready? Number 1, the foot. Number 2, the beak that matches. And number 3 is the food that that bird can eat. So if I look at your picture, the foot, the beak, and the food should all be like a big match, and it should teach me, your drawing is going to teach a lot about that bird. Good luck! I can't wait to see some of these drawings.